Yeah, was that 1999 when you were trying to qualify for the Glen or?
Sounds about right. I believe it might have been. Yeah, it was around that time for sure. So it probably was. Yeah, we got
Yeah,
there. I made the race one time, and Michael Waltrip was gracious and said, "Congratulations! I hear you've been trying for a while. You know, so many different things." When we made the race, I forget what year that was. It was not, and we came back after qualifying. We're ready to race. And that was back when they had qualifying motors. Everybody in the garage changed their motor and going, "We're ready to go. We don't have a qualifying motor. We're good." And so it was a lot of things like that. Ernie Elliott was there. I'm not sure if at that time, but he was helping. He built the motor and was the first time I was there. I don't think we made the show. We were like a couple thousand off that year, but he was there building the motor and got to know him and really put the effort out. Once we made the first round qualifying, we're like 36, like by a couple thousands. The next day, if they canceled qualifying, I'd have been in the race that year. And they decided to postpone the Trans Am race so they could get the NASCAR get the qualifying in for us to make sure that they got a few of their guys in the race, and us guys didn't make it. But it's okay if I got on that side of the fence. I'd appreciate that. But during that time, there wasn't much time between practice and qualifying. So Ernie's, as soon as I came out the garage, he himself is digging in the motor, pulling hoses off, and had to flush the coolant system out to cool the motor down and make power for qualifying. So it was pretty to see that, and I got a little bit of a relationship going with those guys now, and it's just nice to talk with Ernie every now and then. It's pretty cool.
yeah, that's great to hear. So this is my last question, which is how can your journeys impact millions of race fans?
I would say that it's not it wouldn't be just race fans in a way. I think it's as like I talked about at the beginning of the podcast, that my racing career took off very quickly, respectively or compared to what it probably should have been. I was very, very lucky. And then I had that in 2022, that very unexpected event, and it let my true passion show for motorsports. And then since then, it's been my passion has grown exponentially stronger since 2022, and made me really realize how much it means to me, and also made me think a lot about how does this impact the world too. And so and I think that's kind of the story of sports. Is it not only is just entertainment for people to watch, but it's something for them to learn from, of the adversity that people go through to get to where they are, and the teamwork that it takes to get to where they are, to use that as fuel for yourself too in your own personal life, and take inspiration from that. And that's what we're all really here for, is not to go out and have fun racing cars, but we're here to prove that teamwork is great, and that you can push through any adversity to get to where you're at, and take that and use that for your personal life, and go and just use that inspiration. On the weekends, go have fun at the races and enjoy the fast cars driving around, the loud sounds and all of that stuff, in the competition. But also take from it that, it's use it as a source of motivation to go out and achieve your own goals too, and your own mission in life of what you want to do, and find your passion. I think that's where the true impact of sports in general comes from.
Yeah, I think racing in IMSA in particular is growing like crazy. I mean, look at Daytona; had the biggest crowd in 62 years. It's just phenomenal to watch that. And I was back around when I was trying to sleep in my car and beg for rides. The Camel GT was there, and with Camel, the big sponsor, it was pretty big back in the day, and all of the races were packed. Today, it's exceeded that. So the good news is we got a lot more fans to influence. So it's easier to get your message out to that many people and more, and they're going to multiply. Hopefully, they carry the message on as well if it's a good message. And just to what Dylan said, racing correlates to the rest of the world, and so all these overnight successes you see are not so overnight. I mean, he's been at this for 15, 17 years and still working at getting to the top rung of the ladder. And so same thing with anything else, whether it's any sports, business, or your job or school or anything. It's just, I think a lot of folks today think, oh, this is too hard. This is hard. Woe is me. Instead of pull your boots up and go to work. Nothing is easy. And I think sometimes that message gets lost in, well, I tried, I couldn't do it, or well, that's just too hard. You know, I can't do that. Well, you can, but you have to be willing to think about all the people that want to do what you want to do. You got to do something to differentiate yourself, do more than they do. And it's not always being better, more talented, or luckier. It's the dedication. How bad do you want it? And so you watch these guys and like, look at him. And for me, I had guys back when I raced Formula Ford in the early 80s. And I could name a few guys that were really good. And those guys, they could do it, but they didn't have the rest of it. Maybe they had the talent, but to get the opportunity, now they didn't want to go sleep in the car and, hey, can I drive your car for 2 years with one drive? And that's kind of stuff that he's doing that's just going to take time to do that. And that's a message that should be portrayed to everybody, no matter what walk of life you're in, what you want to do. I'm sure you didn't get a podcast just by, hey, let's just do this. Where you're at, it took a long time to get there. And so it's how much effort do you want to put into something? Again, it's not about they're better than me or I can't. It's about how much do you want it and how bad do you want to keep pushing through. And you got to be standing in line when everybody else goes home. And you make your own luck by being there. And we talk about that all the time with him is yeah, it's hard. And yeah, okay, you got what's the right path? And doing the same thing. Danny Sullivan, he drove a taxi, you know. Everybody all these guys have different stories of how they got there. But that just tells you there is no right answer. You got to put yourself in. It's like, oh, he was lucky. He just met this guy that decided to put him in a car. And one thing I've told him, I've got a stack of paper that's a foot tall. Every sheet of paper represented probably 10 packets, a packet that thick that I'd send, and 10 phone calls to the company or a person say, hey, can you sponsor me? And if I was lucky, out of all that stack, I probably got a half dozen responses, maybe a letter back in the mail saying, thanks for your interest, but good luck in your venture. We don't have anything for you. The rest of them just didn't reply. And even though that stack of foot tall paper represents all that work, and you think, but nobody in that whole stack did anything for me, a guy taps you on the shoulder, you don't even look at you. Yeah, he goes, hey, I got a car for you. Well, he didn't just do that because luck of the draw. He probably saw all that work that you put into it and said, that guy really wants it. So I'm going to help him out. If that hadn't happened, he would have never tapped you on the shoulder. So you never know what the right answer is. And to be a good person means everything. You know, you can't say, well, this guy can't do anything for me, can't help me out. So he's a jerk, go away. I don't want to talk to you. Be nice genuinely to everybody, do everything you can, and life will reward you. But it's not just going to be, oh, I'll do this for a month or 2 months or a year and expect it to happen. Then the more difficult something is, the more difficult it is to get there and the more work you got to do. But the more rewarding it is when you do.
That's amazing. It looks like you both have some really incredible advice and wisdom from your days in racing so far. And Dylan's definitely going to be a champion if he keeps up that attitude.
Either that or just be too dumb to know better and keep going, bang your head against the wall. Still something happens. That's me. I couldn't get a real job, so I had to do something. Racing was the only thing that would have me.
Yeah. Where can people find you both?
Atlanta, Georgia, davidmurry.com. And
you can keep up with me on Instagram, Dylan K. Murray. That's my Instagram is at Dylan K. Murray. I'll post pretty frequently on there, and yeah, give me a follow.
Facebook
Awesome.
for me, davidmurry.com.
Awesome. Good to hear. So that's all we have for now, but we thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having us. Great podcast, by the way. Enjoyed it. It's like watching all the other folks too. If anybody's listening, Boris said this kid are on there, and Annie Lawley, and a lot of folks that are great. So you've done a good job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So everybody, please check out David and Dylan Murry on their social media site and their website. And please keep following Dylan as he rises through the IMSA ranks and becomes a champion down the road. Keep my fingers crossed. And everybody, we'll see you next week for the next episode of SFM.